The question to my mind is whether this is a new phenomenon or if we are seeing now the fruition of something that has been going on for a long time. It's 2025 now, and it's the 70th anniversary of the Bandung Conference. And to me, Bandung is really a watershed moment where, for the first time ever, you had a meeting of states that were non-European, right? And I in the end I count North America as transatlantic kind of European because the majority of the politics is dominated by people who are just the descendants of emigres, right? Of
Exactly.
of people who then genocided the North American continent, right? And replaced it, and there we go. Now, then we had 600 years. Overall, we had 600 years of Euro-American dominance of the entire globe. And 70 years ago, we saw how they started changing, but it changed very, very slowly. And neo-colonialism during the Cold War was a real thing. And,
Hmm.
poaching people in Indonesia and in all, basically every single South American country, in every African country, having direct neo-colonial dominance over the infrastructure and the economy, and in East Asia and in Southeast Asia, of course, then having a huge, large war in order to reassert dominance under the guise of we have to fight communism, which in the end turns out 50 years later, 60 years later, the US presidents are more than happy of striking any kind of deals with the North Vietnamese, with the communist Vietnamese, and with the communist Chinese. So it shines an entirely new light on the way that the Cold War, also what the Cold War was fought about. So question now is, why is it that now these states, non-European, non-transatlantic states, are able to assert themselves much more and create a reality which really makes the old dominant group reactionary, were like during the Cold War? I think they weren't. That was a different dynamic.
Oof. I mean, just this question alone will elicit a 45-minute response. This is more of an academic lecture than anything else. The very short answer to this is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world that globalization in the 1990s produced. Welcome to this world. Welcome to the multipolar world. Welcome to the post-unipolar world. Where do I even begin? There's so many things to look at here. From the perspective of the developing world, the global south, whatever it is that we want to call it, we use a lot of terms. The rest, the global south, the developing world, the emerging periphery, there's just, they all kind of say the same thing. But you're absolutely right on the idea that this is largely the non-Western world, right? The major participants in the Shanghai Cooperation Summit that just concluded, with the exception of heads of state of two European countries, Slovakia and Serbia, both of whom are regarded by the EU as pariah states, as potential problem states, right? And this, I'm not getting into, and I will not, defend the politics or the policies of Robert Fico or Alexander Vucic. They are who they are, but they did attend, right? They were in Shanghai, and they were largely, observer, members to the larger countries like Russia, China, India, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Iran, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and the like. What we see, when I say the products of globalization, is that the the world following the end of the Cold War effectively said that the world can and should develop through mechanisms of market capitalism, industrialization, modernization, consumerism, and digitization. This is exactly what these countries have done. China, India, Russia, Indonesia, at least the top four countries, just to give a few. And yet they have all modernized while not westernizing. And I'm also not one, and I've been in academia now for 25 years. I am not one to openly recommend nor promote Sam Huntington's work, The Clash of Civilizations, but I'm pretty certain that all of, a good number of our viewers are familiar with this work. But I recommend to as many people as possible to either reread the book or pick up the book for the first time. Because what Huntington had said about 30 years ago is playing out to be pretty true today. And that is non-Western states will modernize, they will industrialize, and they will become major influencers in a new multipolar global arena, but they will not democratize. They will not adopt the policies of liberal democracy that the West thinks is coterminous with capitalistic development. And so the number of countries that we see attending the SCO summit, along with the core members, participants, new members that wish to join, it's not surprising that many in the West look at them and see them as an association of autocracies, dictatorships, non-democracies. But none of these states are poor, right? None of them are failing states. They are all on the developing level. And so what we have noticed in the last 25 to 30 years is that states can develop through the mechanisms of corporatist capitalism without adopting policies of liberal democracy and provide a certain quality of life for their citizens that many people, and look, you know me, I mean, I have lived in Uzbekistan for 3 to 4 years. It is, at least from the Western standpoints, not, a liberal democracy. It is very much, I would say, more so a top-down corporatist entity. But, whether it's Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, one can live quite well. I mean, the free market is there, consumerism is there, the quality of life is certainly improving. And this is something that I think many in the West have a hard time trying to come to grips with. And that is, can one live in what is comparatively a non-liberal democratic state and still live very, very good? I'm here to tell you that many people can. And many within the, SCO, of which Uzbekistan, I have to say, is one of the original members of, is a country that is focusing more, right, on consumerism and economic modernity instead of this notion of liberal democracy. And so I guess at this point, what we realize is that, the SCO meeting, that summit that concluded in 2025, really culminates more than anything else as the hour of China. China comes out of this as the main victor, as the main proponent of an alternative model to that of which the West, the United States, the European Union, is providing.